If you watched episode 3 of At the Rail, then you saw how some party boat trips are perfect for beginning anglers. On those trips, catching keepers is a given, and the pool money could go to just about anyone. But if porgy trips are party boat fishing 101, tog trips are where you earn your PhD. For the Norma K3, tog kick off the season, and Captain Matt Sosnowski spends every fishable day of April ferrying fishermen to the reefs.
So these are the two main types of crabs you're going to use tog fishing. You've got green crabs right here, and then you have white-legger crabs right here. And a lot of guys favor these on deeper wrecks and colder water. Togs seem to really go for these. Closer to shore, inshore, a little bit warmer water, green crabs seem to have a little bit of an edge. And the nicer part about green crabs is they're really easy to get. You can get them just about any time of year, anywhere. These can be a little bit tougher to get, but they can be well worth the extra effort. Matt, so the spring tog fishing starts on April 1st. I know it's closed for the month of March. When you first get out, your first couple trips, where are you looking for them? The same places you left them in February, or?
Same place we left them back in December in the fall.
Yeah.
Fish are in here spawning this time of year, so we fish inshore here, and this usually we see most of our bites, which we have seen most of April. The water has warmed up; it's almost 50, so we see better. Fishing's hit or miss. You see good days and your bad days, but we do see. We have been catching fish every day, and guys that work at it do a little better. Casting around and patient, and they manage to do pretty well.
So are they moving inshore as the water warms up? Are they getting a little bit closer to shore?
They get a little closer to shore. They spawn inshore. So like right now, people like fishing our inlets and stuff. They're catching. Those guys they catch a ton of them in our inlet there.
Oh yeah.
So in the canal and everything. So those fish will eventually start moving out, and you'll start seeing more. You see more fish. Before the water gets too warm.
Oh, okay. And about what depth are we going to be fishing today?
We're going to be fishing around between 60 to 70 foot. Be fishing around rocks, and mostly rocks today.
And I know, the jigs have become really popular. Do you recommend using that or just a traditional rig?
I just use traditional rigs. The jigs have not been really working so well for us down in our area where we're fishing today. So, every day's different. They could work today, but I would definitely start with rigs today.
Okay. And what
half crab? Just a single hook rig. Okay. I use just a single hook rig. Some guys like using snafu rigs, like using 2 hook rigs. I can tell you right now, guys using whole crabs haven't been catching anything. So make sure you cut them in half.
Okay.
And like I said, cast around, patient. We build the life and hopefully get them going.
Awesome.
To securely position the Norma K over the structure, mates Kevin and Sloth drop 2 anchors while taking cues from Captain Matt. This holds the boat in place better than a single anchor, and it also allows the mates to make precise adjustments to cover other parts of the reef or wreck without having to re-anchor. Tog have enjoyed a serious surge in popularity over the last few years. While they were once the unsung heroes of the shoulder seasons, they are now one of the most celebrated species in the Northeast. Partly responsible for this bottom dweller's rise to the top has been the vast improvements in fishing tackle over the last 20 years.
So the first time I ever tog fished was on a party boat, probably about 2 decades ago, and the tackle looked a lot different than this. The reel was probably 2-3 times the size. Rod, I'd say, this part here, the thickest part of the rod down here at the butt, probably that thick, about halfway up the rod. Not very sensitive with using monofilament, but part of what's helped the tog fishing become so popular over the last few years, both on headboats and private boats, is these lighter but powerful outfits. They're a lot more sensitive. You're going to feel a lot more bites. Today I'm feeling the Bergals whacking away at the bait, and if I was using mono, might not even be feeling that. I'd just be reeling in empty hooks without even knowing something was happening down there. This rig itself is made by Tsunami. This is a Tsunami Trophy Series. It's actually, they designed it for slow pitch jigging. That's why you have this kind of unique looking butt here. We have the split grip and then a thinner butt designed to go right under your shoulder like that. But the action is perfect for togging. You know, it's got a pretty good bend in it like that. We have a lot of backbone right through the second half of the rod down toward the grip. Plenty of guts to get a tog off the reef, especially when it's coupled with a reel that's got a lot of cranking power to it. And this is a Tsunami Forged 10, so they make 3 sizes of this, the 8, the 10, and the 12. This is the mid size. And what's great about this reel, it's got a pretty good gear ratio in terms of picking up line, but it's not super high speed, and that means it's going to have a lot more cranking power. And especially since you have this power knob there, you hook a tog and you don't want to pump and drop down the reel, because you're going to give him a chance to get back into the structure. You want to keep that rod high, keep the line tight, and just crank away until you get him away from it. And then once you get him 20 feet off the bottom, you kind of settle into the fight a little bit. But those first couple seconds are crucial to get him away from the structure. And that's why you want a reel that's going to have a lot of guts, you know, a drag that's locked down pretty tight, and make sure all your knots are good too. Got this reel spooled with Seaguar Smackdown braided line. I like the high vis, especially on party boats, just because the line shifts in a certain way, you want to follow a fish, or you get in a tangle. It's always good to know which line's yours, see what your braided line's doing. A black braided line or a dark moss green braided line might get lost there, but this high vis, I always know where my rig's set up and where my line's headed. Just makes it a little bit easier. So I've got that braid attached with an FG knot. You could use a uni to uni knot. You can use an Albright knot. I like the FG knot. You want an abrasion resistant fluorocarbon, and that's what this Seaguar inshore is designed to be. And the rig itself, so when we spoke to Captain Matt earlier, he said keep it simple, single hook rig. This is a rig that is known as the Belmar rig, and Belmar is another kind of port out of New Jersey where there's a lot of headboats head out of. Great part about this rig is very easy to tie, quick to tie, and it's just simple and efficient. Start with a double surgeon's loop, okay? Create a big loop in the line about 18 inches, attach the sinker to that. Then I have a snelled hook. You know, this is a Gamakatsu, this is a 2.0, you use 2.0, 4.0, even up to 5.0, depending on the size of the baits. I've got it snelled on a little bit of leader with a perfection loop, and I'm going to loop that onto the surgeon's loop right here. And then to lock that in place, I tied 2 overhand knots around where I looped it on, and that's going to keep this in place. Captain Matt said you want to make sure the hook is below the sinker. So we've got that covered. It's going to sit on the bottom just like this. Bait's going to be out there. You know, simple, easy, quick to tie. And if you're going to break off in the wrecks, you know, something real snaggy, you want a rig that you can tie together just like that. So kind of wrap around the rod like that. It's called a spiral wrap. I've heard it called an acid wrap. And the reason for this kind of a rod design, a guide design, is because the line with the conventional naturally wants to be on the underside of the rod. It wants to be below the blank. So you might not realize it when you're fishing a traditional conventional rig, but you know that when you have pressure on it, the rod wants to spin and turn over like that. This avoids it, and it's something that's tough to notice until you've actually felt a rod like this. But it doesn't want to spool, it doesn't want to roll over like that. It gives it kind of a more steady feel, a smoother feel, more direct connection to your rig at the end, without the rod wanting to roll over like that. Pretty cool. You know, you can even cast it pretty good. You'd think it would be a, before you use it, looks like it might be a mess for tangles, but it's where the line naturally wants to go. So it's kind of a neat little feature, and it just gives the rod a little bit of a nicer feel. So all this stuff, everything we've talked about, the thin diameter braid, the lightweight blank, the small powerful reel, comes together to have a real light tackle feel, but it still has plenty of guts to pull a good sized tog out of the wreck and out of the reef. So it just makes the fishing a lot more enjoyable, and that's what it's all about.
Many a fishing writer has tried to describe how to set the hook on blackfish, but truth be told, it's tough to put into words. Eventually, after enough swings and misses, you kind of just get a feel for when to lift the rod. I will offer this advice: whenever your bait is on the bottom, make sure you're ready to set the hook. You wouldn't want to be caught off guard and miss the best bite of the day.
That was it. That was it. He lifted the sinker. That was one of the, fiddling with my hood. That's the bite you want. That's how you know, like, they're pretty aggressive when they grab it and they lift the sinker up off the bottom.
There's an old fisherman's tale about Tautog that says they have soft lips in the springtime, which makes them less likely to bite crabs. Ready to believe anything to get a keeper, I switch from crabs to clams, but all that does is draw bites from the out-of-season sea bass.
About 6 inches too short, about 5 weeks early.
The Norma Cay's regulars are faring better than I am. I watch them combing through the sea bass, bergalls, and short tog to find a few keepers for their coolers. I look for the differences between their presentations and mine and discover that the anglers who are catching have been keeping their rigs perfectly still. According to the mates, on heavily pressured structures, the clicking of a sinker hitting the wreck or rubble can send tog running, so it's important to keep your rig as still as possible.
We're heading in the right direction.
The successful fishermen have also been casting their rigs away from the boat, where their crab will have less competition for a tog's attention. I adjust my presentation accordingly and begin bringing some blackfish over the rail, but I just can't seem to find one that meets New Jersey's 15-inch minimum size. While most of the regulars go home with fresh fillets to turn into fish chowder, fish tacos, or plain old fried fish, it's a first-time tog fisherman who takes home the pool money. When Sloth and Kevin pulled the anchors for the last time, everyone can agree that it's been a tough day on the tog grounds. I depart the Norma Cay with only a higher education in tog fishing, but the lessons learned come with the promise of a heavier cooler on my tog trips this coming November. After not catching a single keeper on last year's At the Rail tog trip, I felt like I had to get back on a party boat headed for the tog grounds to prove, if only to myself, that I can in fact catch a keeper blackfish on a headboat. On this trip, I'm boarding the Island Current 3 out of Snug Harbor, Rhode Island, with my friend Captain Garrett Weir, founder of the PhishPhinders angling community, and several other fishing YouTubers filming the trip for their own channels.
What up? Let's go!
Garrett is obsessed with tog fishing. Every season, he travels from his home in New York to as far away as Maryland and Massachusetts in pursuit of his beloved wrasse. Through PhishPhinders, he organizes trips to introduce more anglers to his favorite fish, while adding some camaraderie and competition to the fishing experience.
So PhishPhinders is a company and the baby that I started. Some background on me, I grew up in Brooklyn, went to Canarsie High School, played baseball at a high level, went to college on scholarship. I played baseball at Seton Hall University, went to school on scholarship, and I finished my education at Delaware State University. I have my master's also from Delaware State University. I played pro ball for a couple years up here in Boston, played baseball. So I say that to say, when I got back down from playing pro ball, I didn't have a crew of guys to fish with. My boys didn't fish, so I started PhishPhinders. And the idea of PhishPhinders initially was more of I want to get minorities involved in it. And then it became this, right? A diaspora, a utopia, different people coming together. That's where the mission statement came from. The mission statement of PhishPhinders is bring in like-minded guys to fish together. And it went from trying to be a more of a minority thing to being a community thing. And that hence the name PhishPhinders Community of Anglers.
On PhishPhinders trips, the party boat pool is taken to the extreme. Instead of the optional $5 to $20 on most boats, every angler on a PhishPhinders trip antes up $50 for a pool that is determined not by the biggest fish, but by the biggest two fish combination. This, Garrett explains, removes beginner's luck from the equation, forcing an angler to catch two nice fish to end up in the money. You can also enter side Calcuttas for up to $250. Given my history with headboat tog fishing, the Calcuttas are too rich for my blood, so I toss in my $50 and hope for the best. The Island Current 3 is loaded down with bait, a mix of green and Atlantic rock crabs, better known among tog fishermen as whiteleggers. Whiteleggers are the natural forage for tog at many of the deep water structures, making them the more preferred bait than green crabs. The trade-off is that green crabs are less expensive and more readily available. As the Island Current crew anchors over our first stop of the day, I'm left with the question of whether to start with a jig or a rig. Tog jigs are a relatively recent development. These specialized jig heads are baited with crabs and dropped to the bottom, where they sit with the hook upright, making an enticing presentation to the nearby tog. They work best on lighter spinning gear, which makes them a little more fun to fish. But when presenting a larger bait, like a whole whitelegger, two hook rigs are best, and that's what I start with.
Garrett, so why'd you start with a rig instead of a jig?
I just want to see what's going on, see what the tide is doing. I mean, some days I'll start with, I go right to the jig, you know what I mean? It's a little windy out here, so I want to see what the tide is like. If it's too strong, I'll stay with the rig. If it's something I can handle the jigging, I'll go to the jig. Just want to, I had a pool fish yesterday with the rig, so that's kind of fresh in my mind. So, one of those things where what's working for you, kind of stick with. But I'm definitely jig first. So I just wanted to see what's going on first, then go to the jig. It's early too, so. Yeah, it's called a training wheel, they call it. Just to get some life built up. So you have the regular jig, then you have the second one, just floating. Like to keep it nice and low like that. You have two different offerings. There's gonna be some big fish caught today, Trevor. Whew. You see that? You feel that air too, John? You know it too. Huh? That Rhode Island air, it's that big fish air right now. Rhode Island is just tog mecca. I mean, people say the mecca, they call it Maryland. I say it's here. I say it's here because it's just so much landscape. You don't have to have wrecks and have to have bottom. The only thing you gotta do is just go, turn your electronics on and find bottom and build a bite, because you don't have to go and follow the fleet. And Trevor and I, he has a boat as well, we can use our electronics. You find a piece of bottom, and if you build it, fishing Rhode Island, because there's so many fish, you could have them literally coming to you. You can almost chum them up.
There he is.
Awesome.
The bite starts slow in the stern with a few shorts and sea bass, but in the bow,
A big fish alert?
Yo, net! Woo! No!
Oh, Richie!
Well done, Fred.
Well done.
Go, where's the scale?
Rich's fish kicks off a flurry of good fishing in the front half of the boat, with several more keepers and a couple more big ones being taken.
Took the bait. Dang.
There you go, Todd.
That's good fish. It's good fish, yeah. I want the one that took me. No, that ain't no.
You docked out, falling from that on.
Well, I don't want to swing it. I want to break off or something.
The bite at our first stop slows, and Captain Scott moves us from an oceanside reef to a bayside wreck.
All right, here we go.
At the wreck, the current is stronger and the bottom is riddled with snags. Almost immediately, fishermen on the port side of the boat begin hooking keeper Tautog. But the unforgiving structure claims many rigs and jigs and fish.
This is a wreck.
This is a wreck. So we're fishing off the wreck. So those fish are coming off the wreck, and you gotta get them before they go into the wreck.
Well,
Heavy current fishing, you fish off the wreck.
Fishing on credit. This is a terrible hook set, and I have to watch it all over again.
Dealing with small bait stealers is an unavoidable fact of tog fishing. At the wreck, swarms of small sea bass, scup, and undersized blackfish make short work of every fresh crab dropped to the bottom. While frustrating, you have to keep the faith. Eventually, a bigger tog will muscle its way through the smaller nuisances and find your bait.
So the bar's at 11.3. 12-pounder would give me a comfortable cushion.
You're right.
Oh, they're on it right away as soon as it hits bottom. But they do not feel like fish that I could set a hook into.
The big fish gonna come.
Yeah, man, everybody around's been getting more bites on the jigs than the rig, so. Switched over to, this is the Tsunami Tog treat. Changed the presentation up.
Winning this is not gonna be, you know, getting big fish, big fish. You're gonna have to pick some keepers out of a place like, oh, got smoked on the way down.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Damn, that might be a school of sea bass store that's smoking on the way down too. You gotta pick some keepers, and then when we get on a nice piece, then get one donkey off of it, and that's how it's gonna be won. Listen, this is fishing right here. It's about a game plan, putting the game plan together.
If Anthony was here right now, Garrett, he'd be saying, every knock at the door gets answered.
Oh yeah?
That's his togging line. I let a lot of knocks go unanswered. Whoop. Got him that time.
That's a good one. There you go, that's a good one.
No, I don't think so. All right, good. Yeah, that'll keep, right?
Nice.
Beautiful, dude. That's a nice one.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fish.
Between the snags, I hook a keeper, and while it's no threat to Richie's first drop 11-pounder, I tag it for the pool anyway, just happy to be in the game. The shared suffering of a group of tog fishermen braving the cold, missed fish, and lost rigs is what's created the tog's cult-like following. While my suffering ended with my first keeper going on ice, as Garrett reties from yet another break-off, he's reminded of just why he loves tog fishing.
Man, I love this. Crying or not, I love this. Glutton for punishment, dude. But I love it.
Tog fishing your favorite?
It is. It really is.
More so than fluke?
Yeah, absolutely. Way more than fluke. I think it separates the men from the boys, especially when it gets cold. You know what I mean? Everybody, a lot of fair weather fishermen. You know, anybody can go fluke fish in flip flops and t-shirts in the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? Like, you know, to come out in 20 mile-an-hour winds with 40 degrees, and it feels like it's 20 degrees. You know, your hands are frozen, snot's freaking freezing on your face to get that one bite. You know, it's just pretty awesome.
This was a good one, man. There's a lot of action here. Just so many lost fish, dude. Like you were saying, if you didn't get them up and away from it immediately,
it's a lot of nice fish. Yeah.
But this is also the type of place where like it pays to be able to get your rig back tied up quick, man. Like,
absolutely.
Oh yeah. Nice black fan. Get him out of the way. Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you. Now it's coming up.
I don't like monkeys on there.
I got it.
The tog clean, add it again.
This current is a beast. Jeez. My rod's too long. Got it?
Makes it a little harder with the tide ripping.
Yeah.
All throughout the trip, even when the fishing is slow, Garrett's vision for PhishPhinders is on full display. Fishermen trade tips, bust chops, and enjoy time on the water with old friends and new ones.
And it was a small section. Where you at? It was long time.
Captain Scott, so can you tell me a little bit about the Island Current Fleet?
So the Island Current Fleet's been up here in Rhode Island at Snug Harbor Marina for about 12 years now.
Yeah, we filmed our 100th episode cod fishing with you guys.
Correct.
Man, that'd be 10 years ago
It
now.
was. Yep, it was great. I remember I was on that trip actually.
That was a good one. So you guys, you used to just come up for the cod, now you come up
We
for the
did,
cod.
so that we rolled that into a little bit earlier this season. We still, because we have so many other boats that we're still operating in New York. So we just bring one of the boats up here to Snug.
And that's this one, the Island Current 3?
Correct. This is the Island Current 3. This is our flagship. We have a bigger boat that we just bought. last fall, but this is a better bottom fishing boat with the 2 anchors and the way it's set up. It seems to be a kind of a crowd pleaser for the black fishing.
So what are some of the stats on this boat? How big is it and how many people can it handle?
So we have a 64-foot DMR. The boat was built up in Maine. I believe it was built in 2004. She's got Caterpillar 3406, which is about 1,800 total horsepower. It's pretty comfortable. It's a heavy boat, about 80 tons. That's why it sits so nice in the water.
I'd imagine a little bit more compact. It's probably easier to get more guys over the fish, especially Tautog fishing like this.
Yeah, it's wide, it's stable. It's just all the things that you need for a good platform for the bottom fishing.
And so, how long have you been with Island Currents?
I've been here for 12 years. I started with them when we brought the boat up the first year.
Okay.
So this is the 12th year for myself as well.
And when do you start the Tautog fishing in the typical season, and when do you end it?
Opening day is October 15th, so we bring the boat up for that, beginning of the season. We typically go to about the second week in December. At that point, there's such a demand for the codfish typically that we just kind of end it early and roll right into the cod fishing season. We're still on decent bottom because typically at that point we're fishing more by Block Island.
Okay.
And in the Block Island, you'll still see some blackfish, codfish, and more of a mixed bag toward that second week of December.
If you were going to pick a peak time?
In the past, it's been good right off the bat. It stays strong all the way to the very end of November. As long as you have the right weather, north winds, all that stuff all helps to make the fish chew and growl and happy for everyone. It's the things that, like the south winds up here aren't very favorable for the bottom fishing, but typically it runs very strong until that first week in December, and then it starts getting a little spotty.
Tips for somebody coming on your boat trying to give them an edge over the other guys, an edge over the Tautog. What would you recommend to somebody like myself?
You did fine today. Who you kidding? So party boat fishing is tough. Obviously, you always want to have your own personal rod because you feel most comfortable with that opposed to a boat rod. A lot of these people are jig fishing now. That wasn't so big a couple of years ago. It's definitely turning into quite a thing now. Even today, I saw a lot of people using the jigs, and they did great. So it's definitely a lighter feel, more action for a lot of the anglers, a lot more fun. Blackfish is a tricky game. You have to be fine-tuned. There is no drinking the night before. You have to really
come sharp.
That's it. You have to come sharp. You have to pay attention. I myself personally, when I fish, I only use one hook. I find like the 2-hook rig will get stuck in the bottom more often. It's just everybody has a preference. You just have to find what works for you.
On the last stop of the day, the bite starts slowly, but builds to a fever pitch, with everyone catching.
This is pretty nice.
Pull that.
Oop. Oop. Oh, it's a good fish. Nice. That's bigger than my last one. Nice.
Keepers are coming over the rail all around the boat, right up until the moment that Captain Scott sounds the horn 3 times, signaling the end of the fishing.
Is this in the raffle?
Get him up! Turn the handle, Randall!
I don't know. I haven't seen this much fish catching on other episodes of At the Rail. I haven't seen this much fish catching.
You're saving that all day, right?
I was.
That's how you do it?
At the buzzer.
That was perfect, man. Dude, this was awesome, man.
On the ride in, Garrett raffles off a wide range of fishing prizes, another perk of a PhishPhinders trip. Richie's first fish held on long enough to let him sweep the pool and the Calcuttas, netting him a substantial chunk of change. While my keepers had no real shot at the pool money, I felt rich in spirit as the mates cut the fish, and I considered how delicious my tog fillets would be, dusted with seasoned cornmeal, sautéed in butter, and served with a side of redemption.